All right. So today we are going to be talking about two of these six approaches for media integration. We'll review what all six of those things are, and we'll be talking about modeling and creating ways that you can integrate media and use it as a tool for modeling and creating. We'll give you an opportunity to explore the things that we share, like we did last time, and a fun way to share out your thoughts and anything that you found during the exploration time. We'll just review some of our other professional development that's available from Montana PBS and do some prizes. So let's get started. So these are the six approaches to integrating media that were developed by PBS as part of their media literacy framework, and specifically for elementary classrooms and with our youngest learners in mind. As a response to some comments they got from primary teachers, early childhood providers, parents about screen time in the classroom and whether or not it was good for kids to be using technology at all. And so they came up with these six approaches to really help people think differently about the role of technology in the classroom and how it might be able to support learning for our youngest kiddos. And so these six approaches are things that we've been digging deep into in this series. Last week we talked about spark and share, and this week we're going to talk about model and create. And so I'm going to cover the tools and strategies for model, and Traci's going to talk about create. So Traci put this document in the chat box if you want to use it and refer to it. I keep it on my board here. I just really like it as a nice reminder that we can do so many things with technology and with digital tools, but these are like big actionable concepts rather than some of the small granular things that we think about when we look at digital tools. So let's dive in.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
makes
Traci.
me just feel like I think that you're being more intentional if you just kind of take a peek. I did the same thing. I printed it so that it's up on my board now and just kind of taking a peek and like, okay, what we're doing right now really fits nicely with this. And it just, I think, makes it feel a lot more intentional rather than I'm just, grabbing this activity or whatever. I think it really makes it fit nicely into this framework, into why we utilize technology. So yeah, I went back to my office and printed it too. And I really like just having it there as a reference.
Me too. Me too. All right, so let's dig into model. And so model, I'm excited. I like talking about modeling because one of the things I'm really proud to share with people about our PBS Kids content is all of the kids programming that you see on air and online. What some people may not know about our kids programming is that it is developed really is closely aligned to specific learning goals. All PBS Kids programs have a learning goal, one or more, connected to the programs. And that is where producers start. They do not develop anything until they decide that this is the learning goal and this is what we're going to develop. Once they have their learning goal, they develop characters, they develop storylines, they develop original music, all of that. A single PBS program that runs about 11 and 12 minutes usually takes 9 months or more to produce. And that is because they take it through exhaustive, like I've been part of some of these conversations. It is a lot as far as consulting with experts in child development and education and curriculum. And then they take it through focus group tests with parents and teachers and child development experts and kids, all go through and give their feedback. And after they've gone through this lengthy process, then they produce it and put it on air. And as you know, PBS, because it's free and publicly funded, there are no commercials or ads connected with our content either. And that's so that we know that anything that shows up on PBS platforms is going to be connected to learning and something that you can trust. Now, the document, this image that's on the slide is also a document that I think Traci put in the chat box. And this lists in alphabetical order all of the current PBS Kids programs that are on the air, either on the main channel, or in Montana, we have a 24/7 channel, which means it's a all kids programming all the time on the 24/7 channel. And then you can see it's got the grade band that is the focus audience. Not that older or younger kids can't watch these, but that's who they really develop the program for. And then the learning goal that go with them. I will say that every single program, in addition to the one listed there, also has the social and emotional learning piece tied to it. That's another commitment that PBS has to this programming, is to build in the social emotional learning alongside all of the other things. And so I've really recommended teachers, if you're looking at teaching a certain content area and you want one of our PBS Kids characters to be your co-teacher, come over to this list and find that co-teacher, because they're going to help you create lessons and use media to teach these concepts in a fun and engaging way for our younger kiddos. So one show that I'm really excited to talk about that has a really strong example about how the characters in media can act as models for students and student behaviors is this brand new show that just premiered this month, which is called Lila in the Loop. Lila in the Loop, the main focus of this show is computational thinking, but not from a perspective of coding so much as a perspective of solving problems and being creative and collaborating with one another and trying lots of different ways to approach a problem until you find one that works. And so it's set in Philadelphia, and it's this family named the Loops, and they live in an apartment above the sandwich shop that they own. And it's Lila, and she has a little brother, and she has older twin sisters. And she, as you can see, they developed this character that right away she's a model for our students. She specializes in making projects and making messes and making friends, and she's getting better at early mornings and listening to others. Well, how many of us have kids in our lives that are also getting better at those things? So here's another great example of a character that kids can watch and learn with and from as they're watching this show. The other cool part of this show is this character, Stu. We don't really know what Stu is, if he's some kind of pet or some kind of computerized object, but Stu really acts as sort of the AI device in the home. I think of him as like the Google Home or the Amazon Echo, in that the kids are giving him commands and telling him to do things, and he does those things. And depending on the command they give him, he may or may not do what he was intended to do. So I don't know if you have that kind of Google Home or something like that in your house that you might say, Alexa, play music, and it'll come on. It'll be like, no, Alexa, play Christmas music, that sort of thing. I think that's kind of what Stu serves the purpose of, except for he's more animal than he is machine. And so, and he also eats food, which your Google Home does not do. So just like all of our PBS Kids shows, you can teach with these shows because they all have a collection on PBS Learning Media. Some are stronger than others, but the Lila in the Loop collection is growing and getting more and more, getting more and more resources in it as the month goes on. And I wanted to just take a moment and show you a bit of this show. Because Stu has a bad case of the beeps. And as soon as I thought of this, I thought about working with kids in the classroom using technology when they were either using a trackpad or when they were using a physical mouse. And what happens when they click on something and nothing happens? Well, they keep clicking and they keep clicking and they keep clicking. And then the whole computer freezes up and nothing happens. And that's what you'll see in here is that Stu gets too many commands and freezes up. So we'll watch a little bit of this. And what I would have you do is think about how you might use this. How are the characters in here modeling for your students how to work together to solve a problem, to figure out what the problem is and explore different solutions for how to solve that problem. I do want to make sure You can finish watching it on your own if you want to. I'll just spoil the end for you. They go through all these different relaxation techniques. Each family member suggests a technique that works for them. None of them really work except for just leaving Stu alone. I feel like there's a lot of lessons we can take from this. Did anybody, if you want to tell us in the chat box or unmute, did anything come up for you when you were watching that? How could I use this to help kids? Like, how could I make this little scene be a model and start a discussion for students? I wonder if anything came up for you as you watch them go through that problem solving. If you want to share that in the chat box. While you're doing that, I'll show you this particular episode comes with a few learning resources. There's a set of challenge cards. It's a fun challenge that you can print out and have kids do creative challenges using QR codes and some of the apps and the things like that. And then there is a storytelling set, so each character can be cut out, and then the kids can put the characters in different scenes, and they could reenact or retell the situation that happened in the video. The Lila and the Loop entire collection can be found here on PBS Learning Media, and right now they have 4, and they've taken each of the episodes and then paired them with different materials to teach this. And all of them is the family encounters a problem, and then they work together as a family to try different solutions and come up with one that works for everybody. So a really great problem solving model that could be used in the classroom or shared with families. The one that was really relatable for me was this one. Operation Rise and Shine was with the family working through their morning routine and how to get everyone out of the house on time so that they didn't miss the bus, which was very relatable for me in my household. And the kids were empowered to go back and debug their morning routine and figure out each piece in their routine that was having trouble and pose solutions for how to make it better. So a great example of how we could use media to model specifically problem solving. Go back to the slides here. So Lila and Loop can be watched on Montana PBS on our main channel or the 24/7 Kids channel. There's a collection, as I just showed you, on PBS Learning Media, but it's also on PBS Kids Online. There are a couple of digital games using Lila and her characters that follow that same learning goal of computational thinking, critical thinking, problem solving. And then the PBS Kids for Parents website has a recipe, has some nice craft activities, and then some articles that parents can use to just better understand computational thinking and problem solving that could be shared with parents in your classroom. So the other way to think about modeling and is to think about our role as the teachers as models for our students to use technology effectively. And so in PBS, we call teachers media mentors because for a lot of students, we are the ones who are using media properly in front of them, or at least I hope so, and using media responsibly. And so we are in the position to model and mentor the appropriate use of digital tools for learning. And so one of the ways that this can be done is to create a code of conduct that can be used in your classroom to help students use the technology and to use online sources safely. And this is one of the micro-credentials that teachers earn when they explore the media literacy certification that we were talking about last week, which is to create a graphic like this. And Traci's going to show you a cool tool later that you could use to create these graphics, which acts as a code of conduct to show kids, first of all, how to take care of the technology and use it without breaking it or having it go beep, beep, beep like Stu did, but also how to be safe and good digital citizens. And all of that can be posted on this code of conduct that can serve as just a focal point in the classroom whenever technology is used. Another way to be a model for students is to explore using different resources to teach digital citizenship in your classroom. And whether you have a teacher or a librarian that does this as part of the regular curriculum, or if you just make time for it throughout your week or at the beginning of a unit, we highly recommend exploring some of these resources for continuing to help students learn how to be really strong media literate individuals. This collection is on PBS Learning Media, and it's called Media Wise, and it's meant for our upper elementary grade level. And this one I clicked on is called How to Internet, which has some really great resources for safely setting up social media accounts, searching online safely, and then how to tell the difference between fact and opinion. So these are really nice resources. There are kids delivering the information in this, which research shows that teens and tweens appreciate media that's delivered to them by people who are actually their age. They don't like watching media with adults talking at them. And so these are great videos that follow that. They're created by the PBS NewsHour Student Reporting Labs, and with actual kids as the subject of those films. And then the other site that Traci and I both really like a lot is Common Sense Education. And they have a curriculum that teachers can use to implement digital citizenship lessons for all grade levels. So you could, and they're free. And that's what's just so cool about it. So you can find your grade band here, and they are research based and partnership with Harvard Graduate School of Education to develop this curriculum. And it gives you lessons that you can teach in order, or you can pick and choose the ones that you think your students need based on what you're observing in the classroom. But what I really love is that they've got some different main topics to explore. And one of them is media balance and well-being, and thinking about, using our media in a way that it's not harming us, but helping us be better people. And that sometimes that means limiting our screen time and putting the media away, watching what we watch and making sure that we're not overdoing it. But then it also gets into the privacy and security, digital footprint, relationships and communication, cyberbullying, and then news and media literacy. So all of these have a nice media element attached to them, including fun videos for them to watch, and then lessons, a lesson plan. As you can see, it tells you how long it's going to take, just 25 minutes. Watch, explore, reflect, broken down to really accessible steps. I see people in the chat box are saying that they use this. That's great. Tammy uses it in Billings. Julie's using it there in Texas. I love it. So yeah, I think these Common Sense is a partner with PBS. Some of our PBS media is on the site and is used here. And so while you could certainly just teach these lessons in order, I really like the idea of pick and choose if you're noticing something that your students are doing that they need a little bit of support. I also like this website as a parent, or recommending it to parents as a way to get some information about the media that our kids want to watch, or what we might want to watch with them. You can get on here and all the current movies and things are reviewed, and will give you a little bit of an idea of the age group. And then it has a full expert review about what to expect. This film will have some nudity. This film will have some swear words, so you can kind of decide. In my household, my kids are 5 years apart. We have a very hard time finding movies that all of us want to watch. And if it's appropriate for the oldest kid, it's probably not for the youngest kid. And if the youngest kid wants to watch it, the oldest kid probably doesn't want to watch it. So this site has been really helpful in finding those films that everybody could watch, or even books or games, podcasts, all of that can be reviewed on this site. Traci, before I hand it over to you for Create, did you want to just add anything to any of those things that I shared?
No, you do an amazing job. I loved that little clip of Lila in the loop. I really do think it's such a cool way of like everybody is, oh, these would be great kind of social emotional stuff, but then how it also ties in that problem solving and computational thinking. I think that's so cool. We'll share, or I'll share a little activity that you can kind of do with the Common Sense Media. But for those of you, we talked about Seesaw last time. If you have Seesaw, there's tons of the those Common Sense Media lessons made into Seesaw activities in that community library. So if you do a little bit of searching, just if you're already using Seesaw, it's kind of a nice way of maybe show the video and then let them do a Seesaw activity kind of thing to follow up. But there is a lot paired with that digital citizenship from Common Sense in your Seesaw activity library already.
Yeah, so we'll pause there before Tracy gets started. If anybody has questions or wants to make comments about any of the things that I just went through, we invite you to share about either Lila or the Common Sense or Code of Conduct, any of that.
Sarah and I went to a conference, and one of the pieces of it was a digital citizenship summit. And we talked about kind of went through all the different tech standards, and one of them was like that code of conduct piece. And like they basically said to all of us, open your computers, like, can you find your school or district's like use policy for technology and code of conduct? And I mean, I know what mine is, but even Sarah and I didn't know where to look, like say on the BPS website for like a school or district-wide code of conduct or acceptable use policy. And so that was kind of like a big whoa for both of us. Like this is something that we probably need to have some conversations about. Again, just talking about modeling those expectations. We as teachers should be able to access, like there should be something and we should be able to access it. So that's definitely something that we'll be chatting more about, but might be good for you all to go back to your schools and see if there are some for your school or grade level. We're going to move into the create piece then. So this is one Nikki and I always struggle with because we could choose one of about 4 million tools that we love. A lot of times we'll show things and people would say, oh, but couldn't you do that with this other tool? Yes, absolutely. We're just kind of showcasing a couple of our favorites. There's many, many tools that teachers and students can use to create. So if you have others in your classroom that you use that you love, those would be great things to share in the chat box. Really, that focus is just on again, getting students actually making and doing instead of, just consuming always off of the screens, always watching videos or reading books or things like that. There's a time and a place for that, but then we also need some kind of output. We need them to share, show us what they've learned through your teaching and through all of those things that they're watching and listening to and reading. And so rather than just, completing a digital worksheet or a quiz or something, it's just so much more powerful to have them use these tools to make and share and create something really unique and special that shows us so much of their learning just by what they're making. My goal in the kindergarten classroom was always to kind of, just a little bit at a time. I didn't introduce 10 creation tools all at once, but we start with something and then little by little add a few tools into that. So hopefully, by about this time of kindergarten, they would have this little toolbox of these tools that they know. And when I say, show me what you know about bears, they would be able to maybe choose from those tools to be able, whether they make a movie or a Chatterpix, which we'll look at, or they want to make an ebook, they would be able to choose from those tools in order to create something where they could show their learning. We tried to pick a couple today. One of them is just such a fun and simple tool. And it also, I think, is a kind of a nice blend of a little bit of hands-on plus some digital. And then another is a large tool that has many aspects to it that we'll just sort of skim the surface of today and look at a few pieces of it. So the first one we're going to take a peek at is ChatterPix. If you've used ChatterPix before, you can give me a thumbs up or drop into the chat. It is an app. So you can only use it on, like you can't use it through a website. You can use it on iPads. There is a ChatterPix app in the Google Play Store. So you can install the app through the Google Play Store onto Chromebooks and also use the app from Chromebooks. I'm going to play, hopefully the sound will work. I don't know if I've got the sound right. This is just a very short video that kind of shows you sort of how it works. The sound's just music, so. Well. Oh, it wants me to restart my device. Sure. Okay, it's okay. It's really just, I can explain it to you. Because it's an app, I just didn't want to plug my my iPad in, but okay. Basically, when you open up the app, it's going to open up a camera. You can take a picture of anything that you can think of. You can, now I'm just trying to get it to stop there. You can take a picture of anything that you would like. They use their finger and draw a little mouth and then make it talk. It's very simple. I've used it with kids up till probably 4th grade, and even in 4th grade, they still think it's pretty cool. It's not great for longer projects because they only have about 30 seconds to talk. So I have gone into some classes where they wanted to publish some like really lengthy writing with it. This probably isn't the best tool for that unless you just maybe have them do like a summary or something, like a little teaser for their writing, because it does go pretty quickly. But with, you know, kindergarten, 1st grade writing, to be able to read what they wrote, it works great. If they've done a little bit of research and you want them to take a picture of something and tell facts about it, it works great for that. In fact, I was in a kindergarten class today and they had been learning about the presidents, and they made, you know, some kind of cute drawing or craft, took a picture of it, drew a mouth, and then they had to tell a fact. You know, here's a fact about George Washington, here's a fact about Abraham Lincoln. So again, just a really fun way for students to be able to share with you what they know. Hopefully these are pretty little. Let's see if these will play at all. There's just a couple of examples here, so I'm just going to click on them. We'll see what happens. If not, you have the slides and you can kind of click on these and play them.
It's not gonna be, there it is. Go down the slide head first.
So you can see, again, it makes just like that teeny tiny little mouth. So again, I think using it with an art project, I literally walk the halls when I'm going around to schools and I see cute art projects and I think that would have been such a cool ChatterPix. You'll see that this one was uploaded then to Seesaw. This was a kindergarten class here in Billings. We use Seesaw to share. In Seesaw, underneath a post, you can generate a QR code. So I know what this teacher did after she had these all made was generate a QR code and then stick that on the pigeon. So you could scan the QR code on, you know, her little hallway display, scan the QR code, and then they would see this little ChatterPix video of the pigeon. So kind of a really fun way to make a little interactive bulletin board kind of thing. This one is an example of student writing. Again, it wouldn't work if you have really lengthy writing with maybe older students, but this was 1st grade writing.
I am a little snowflake. You can see no other snowflake looks like me.
So again, they did their writing and then they were able to just kind of add this additional piece on, which I think is so great. You know, they did their writing. I want them then to practice that fluency piece, to be able to read back to me what they wrote. I think it's really special to be able to send that home and for parents to be able to hear that. I think it's also a great way of tracking that growth. Other things I've done with it is taking a picture of like a book. Maybe it can be part of your listening center. They just finished the book, take a picture of just the cover, draw a little mouth on it, and they either give a summary or tell what they like, didn't like, tell about main characters, whatever it is you want them to tell about. 30 seconds is plenty long to be able to do something like that. So anything that you could think of, I've seen they've done a STEM project where they've built, something out of Play-Doh and clay and sticks and all that kind of thing. Take a picture of it, draw the mouth, and then use ChatterPix to kind of explain what they did in that project. So again, just kind of a way of sort of leveling that up. This one here in the middle is an example, and I couldn't find one on Seesaw. It was from last year. So when we archive our classes, they go away. But this was a Twitter post that I did about this one. So this is tying in that digital or that Common Sense Media digital citizenship that Nikki was showing you. One of the digital citizen characters is arms. They have all of these little characters just kind of representing the different pieces of digital citizenship. And he talks about media balance. So it's a really great conversation starting with kindergartners about, okay, well, if you've been on your device for, a little bit and you've played a game, then what could you go do to put some balance into your day? And they'll say stuff like go play with a friend or ride a bike or go on a walk, things like that. So this little printable, this little arms printable is on the Common Sense website. After we did the lesson, I printed these and they were able to kind of decorate, color, that sort of thing. And then you'll see here they have the iPad, so they're taking a picture of it, drawing a mouth, and then they shared kind of what their thing that they want to do to have that balance, whether it's go to the park or ride a bike or whatever. So that was really kind of a fun way of showing that balance, like they're doing the hands-on stuff and then we're saving it and sharing it in a digital format. And there's lots of different things that you could do like that. So again, it's very simple to use. It's one of the first ones I usually show when I'm going into new classrooms that haven't used a lot of technology before, because it's snap a picture, draw a line, record your voice. And then there are a couple of like little stickers. You could add a label to it. I usually don't even mess with that stuff. I keep it simple. There's a save button, save it to your device, and then you can share it wherever you'd like. We will have a little bit of play or exploration time. Maybe if you have another device you're already playing. It is an app. There's a link in the slide here for the free, and it's free. So you can install it and play around with it a little bit. Like I said, you can put it if you have Chromebooks. You can, that's something kind of new I've discovered. I'm exploring the world of apps on a Chromebook and kind of how that works. There is also, and we don't have time to look at it, but I am just going to kind of drop this into the chat. Something similar, not exactly the same. I don't think you can customize it quite as much. But Adobe has an animate from audio in their free Adobe Express tools. So if you aren't able to install an app, if you have laptops or something and your kids don't have access to a Chromebook or an iPad, this might be something to check out. Similar idea, except I think you have to use the characters that they have, but it would still be a fun way of letting students share something that they've learned. They could choose one of those characters and then use the microphone to speak to it and then animate that character and save it and share it out. So something to kind of play around with if you're not able to install the app. So ChatterPix. Oh, the other thing I'll mention, if you do look in the App Store, there's regular ChatterPix and ChatterPix Kids. Regular ChatterPix is fine, except when you get into the stickers, they're not as filtered. So, I mean, one time I had like a little penguin sipping from a wine glass or something, and we realized that they had like regular ChatterPix. So there's nothing really terrible in there, but just to be on the safe side, I do think all the like little buttons and stuff are a little bit more kid friendly in the kids version too. So they're both free, but if you are requesting it or looking for it, I would just make sure you put in that kids at the end and look for that one. Questions about that before we kind of move on to this last tool? I saw in the chat a few of you mentioning that you've used it. Yay, Jill, yay. It truly is one of my favorites. The kids love it. It's so simple to use. It's fun. This next tool that we're going to look at is Canva. And again, if you've used Canva or know of Canva, you can do a thumbs up or drop in the chat. This is one that most people are familiar with. When Nikki and I kind of talked about Canva, it's like where to even start, especially in the amount of time that we have. It could be a whole giant session just on its own. For people who don't know what Canva is, basically my description here, it's amazing, very helpful. But it is a graphic design tool. I mean, dream it and you could basically create it in Canva. I think it works on both sides as a teacher creation tool and as a student creation tool. I began learning how to use it as a teacher creation tool, and that's probably the best way to learn how to use it, just to start using it on your own. If you haven't looked in Canva in the teacher part, like if you just kind of go into the teachers and schools section here and sort of look through what they have, what I usually do is go and I just like type in education. Usually I spell it right. Into this space here. But if you haven't done that, just to search what they have available in here, it's pretty amazing. If you're looking for like slides, templates, if you are looking for sorry, I had to click on templates, even like designs and things like that for your classroom, like I'm looking for posters, I want like nameplates for my kids, and I want our like beginning of the year school rules posters, those kinds of things. I mean, they have templates and designs for all of that. That's pretty awesome. Flashcards, things like that. So as a teacher tool, searching what they already have is pretty amazing. You can also, of course, create from scratch. I know a lot of people use this for newsletters and things like that. Let me come back here. This little button here, it is free, but there are premium versions that you can unlock. Teachers can get the whole premium subscription to Canva for free. If you don't have that, here's kind of how. Everyone in Billings Public Schools has it. Shelley went through a process, and basically anybody with the Billings Schools email has it for free. So if you're in another district and that's something that would be helpful, that's something that they will do. We just had to work with Canva and our district tech people to kind of get that set up through our Google accounts. If you just want to sign up yourself, it kind of tells you here how to do that. And then there's a sign up page here at the bottom. And you basically just have to verify that you're a teacher, and then it will unlock everything in Canva for you for free. The other thing that I clicked on or linked on here are these Canva for Education resources. Again, because we're not going to have time really to dig into everything, I did want to just show you this hub that they put together that truly is pretty amazing. So if you're a teacher wanting to get started, I can go here, view more. It kind of gives me this getting started with Canva, teacher resource center, some tutorials, back to school toolkit kind of thing. So a really great place to start if you're just wanting to learn more. Once I got familiar enough with Canva to use it with kids, I've kind of just started to introduce it to second grade. I think so far is the youngest that I've introduced it to. Again, they have to sign in. Usually it's kids on Chromebook signing into their Google accounts. But the things that they can create, book covers, posters, slides presentations. I just saw a friend of mine put on Twitter that they are basically using Canva to make ebooks about, they've been doing learning about penguins. So they're using that as a design tool. So truly anything that you could kind of dream about, I think that you could make it in here. For me, it really is about getting comfortable enough with it myself so that I kind of know how to guide that with my students, because there is so much here. I could see where it could become overwhelming, or they could get a little bit focused on the design and kind of lose focus of what like our intent is. Like you'd have to have it pretty structured, have certain time periods and that kind of thing. So again, I think an amazing tool, whether you're using it for yourself for creation or introducing it to your students. The piece that I wanted to really kind of dive into today and hopefully have you play around with is this Magic Media part of Canva. It's a Canva app and it's an AI tool embedded within Canva for generating images. When you're in Canva, you're going to find it by clicking on apps. And then I usually just search in here Magic Media to find it. And then if you just want to kind of play around, I'm going to open it here like this. It asks me if I want to use it in an existing design. So I've already got something. Do I want to pop it into that design, or do I just want to start a new design? And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to say use a new design. I typically just pick the Facebook or Instagram just because I know it's going to give me just a nice shape that I could make my design in, especially when I'm just kind of exploring. So I'm just going to click on that Instagram post, and then you'll notice over here, it's asking me to describe what I'd like to create. So this is that Magic Media piece where it's going to take a prompt and then AI is going to try to create a character based on my prompt. So I'm going to type in this a character that I know from a storybook. I'm going to say with shoes and glasses. So I'm going to type this in, and then you'll kind of notice over here that it's working to generate some images. So the idea that was shared about this as a kind of an introduction. So this is funny. Look at how he's holding his tennis shoes. And here he's got actual tennis balls. So the idea that was shared with this is using this as a way, if you are using it with students, using it as a way to really talk about descriptive language and these prompts. So we could do this together, kind of whole group, and talk about it. Okay, so what did I type in this prompt here that made, this kind of happen? Like, what is happening here? He's got these weird shoes. Here we have tennis balls. What kind of more descriptive language could I put into this prompt to get closer to what I want? How could I describe it better? So maybe I'm going to take away the tennis part because it was confusing AI and it's adding in tennis balls. I'm going to maybe say with red shoes. I'm going to say it's a white cat with red shoes and sunglasses carrying a guitar. So I'm really just having conversations with your kids about descriptive language and how they can be more precise in the language that they're using to create these prompts. But then, of course, I think that leads into talking about their writing and all that kind of thing too. So we're getting a little bit closer. What this idea is using storybook characters. So maybe we're trying to make Pete the cat. Maybe we read another book and they're trying to generate their own storybook characters. Then I think the next step from that would be, okay, now you wrote a story. You have characters in your story. How would you describe those characters, and can you generate images about those characters? That kind of thing. I think this can also be a fun teaching tool. When I've showed this to teachers, they've gotten so many ideas about how to use it, making books for their kids, putting these images into books, making silly images, kind of like we talked about with Wonderopolis last week, but like generating their own silly images. putting them up on the board and having kids kind of do like a free write from the silly images. So just kind of an interesting little thing. Once you find one you like let's say we'll grab this one, you could put it then into your design. You could do a million other things now with Canva. Sarah, my colleague, was doing they were researching famous people's, and then they were making books about them. So they made book covers that looked like those, those like, this is Abraham Lincoln, or this is Amelia Earhart, those books that kids can check out. They made characters that look really similar to the cover of those, and then had to, again, describe that historical figure that they were writing about to generate the image over here. So just kind of a interesting way, I think, to play around with prompts in AI, and again, that precise and descriptive language using AI. So that, I think, is something that you can sort of explore and play with in the few minutes that you have for your exploration time. Again, I'm just going to show you, because I kind of always forget to, when you're in Canva, to find that, go to the apps little button over here on the left. And then once you're in this apps area, you could search for it, but I just usually type in Magic Media, and then you can open it here. And then again, whether you're going to put it into something that you've already been creating, if you're just kind of exploring, usually I just click use in new design. Questions or thoughts about that, or how you might use it? Just looking in that. Yep. It's great for
I love the
newsletter.
idea of having kids really succinctly create their command for AI. I've seen kids like write too much, and or use like the Google voice assistant and start talking paragraphs, and they have no idea why they didn't get better results. So I think that's
Exactly.
a really cool lesson in helping them first visualize what it is they want AI to create and see how close they can get it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I thought, and for me, I'm not familiar enough, like it's really made me think better about writing those prompts and how to make them a little bit more specific
Mhm,
and precise to get the results I want. So yeah, I
mhm.
thought that was a cool idea. Yearbook. Yeah, a little yearbook at the end of the year. There's so many awesome things to make with Canva. Absolutely. All right. Do you think just a little bit of explore time, Nikki?
Yeah, I think we could probably go like 10 minutes today.
Okay.
And then we probably don't need to spend as much time with the stuff in the end, because most everybody was here last time. So we can just give everybody 10 minutes to explore all those things that we just shared. Um, and
I did.
then
I'll,
do you
I'll
want
try to
to, yeah,
share.
go ahead and
Yeah,
demo our
I'll try
share
to
board
share this.
here.
We're trying to explore do different collaborative boards besides Padlet. We love the Padlet, but since we're chatting about Canva, we thought we should try to use a collaborative Canva. This one is a whiteboard in Canva, and I found a template, so I was able to just kind of adapt and modify a template. The idea here is these are little sticky notes. So think of, as you explore, share a couple of ideas from what we chatted about in model and in create, and use these sticky notes. They're tiny. I think the trick here is, sorry, I'm trying to get all the Zoom tools out of the way, this little button at the bottom. Hopefully you can see what I'm pointing to. There's a little kind of toggle at the bottom when you're in Canva. It usually starts about here, and especially on this whiteboard space, it's zoomed out quite a bit. But if you just kind of toggle this over, it's going to zoom in for you. So you're able to grab one of those sticky notes and type on it and just kind of zoom in and out and be able to view that a little better. But we just kind of wanted to try this out. So this will be where we share after you've had that 10 minutes to kind of explore, share some of those ideas that you're hoping to try with the model and create concepts in mind.
Awesome. Thanks to those of you who are sharing. I really appreciate it. Yeah, the code of conduct is a great tool to have. Classroom code of conduct. Yep, you can use Canva to create a code of conduct. Great overlap. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's fun to see the names floating over the screen too, and the collaboration piece of it, and then seeing everybody who's logged in. I think this worked really well. I'm
Yeah, I can
interested
agree.
in those of you who used it, if you want to share your thoughts about filling this out compared to Padlet, you know.
I know I haven't used it before. I do like it. The zooming in and zooming out is, I think it's because it's such a large like space, so you have lots of room. But as long as you know how to zoom in and out, it feels more manageable.
Yeah. Even now the text is very small and I'm like still having to lean forward
And our old
to see
lady
it.
eyes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. To get my glasses out, I think. Well, thanks for sharing those ideas, and feel free to share more in the chat box. If you couldn't quite get things on the canvas, that's totally fine to just share and tell us what you thought on the chat box. I'll probably just continue on through the presentation so that we can get everybody out into on home on what could be icy roads again tonight, unless you're home already, and then just go and enjoy your evening. So last week I shared these programs, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about them because if you were here, you heard about them in detail. Again, we'd love for you to consider signing up for the Media Literacy Certification Program, which is self-paced and free and approved through Billings for Step Up. If you're in that district, and you can earn 30 OPI credits when you complete the certification, as well as some other fun swag and bragging rights, first and foremost. And then we also have our Watch and Learn program, which is an opportunity to watch PBS films and share reflections, explore the teaching resources on PBS Learning Media, and then earn OPI credit. And you can earn anywhere from 2 OPI credits. I think I have one film that's just 1 hour because the film is only a half an hour. But 2 OPI credits to up to 5 for watching. One of them is the Hiding in Plain Sight film, which is a 4-hour film. So consider signing up for those things. Just like last time, we'd love to have your feedback on the survey. It helps us plan for the final workshop, which will be next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Same time, same Zoom link. So if the link you logged in on today, you can get in on the same one. So you can just save that. But go ahead and fill out that feedback survey. It helps us to plan the next one and just gives us an idea of how many people attended and what you thought about it. So thank you so much for joining us. Traci, thank you for all you shared today.
Thanks for having me always.
Yeah. Feel free to head out or